What's up? It is your boy Rad's fault. Over there, right over there, is Mr. Raptor and
Hey,
also
what's up, guys?
the Wolf Craze. What's going on, fellas?
Not much, man. Not much. Ready for this tech talk?
Gonna try this out. So you guys are actually, if you are watching this, you've tuned into a pilot show of AHC Tech Talk. This is just us talking about stuff that's coming out, what you currently have. Tonight we have a set show where it's just basically going to be about future of VR and some things that have been said in the news here lately. So let's kind of start it off right there. Wolf, you
Mhm.
had you had a graph for us. We wanted to kind of look at the sales for VR.
Yeah, let
What's up
me
with
Yeah.
that?
throw that
S-
up there.
So, in talking about VR and the fact that we are VR based, at least we have been over the past year that we have been around as amateur hour. Um, its sales have always been interesting. PlayStation VR has always leaded in terms of sales. And here's a 2019 end of quarter four numbers. They had 338,000 sold units. And that was just that year, and that doesn't account for when it actually came out in 2016. But Oculus Quest came out in 2019 as well, and that skyrocketed in popularity to 317,000. Now, those are two of the biggest brands right now in the VR industry because of how accessible they are, how cheap they are in comparison to their competitors like the Valve Index and the why am I forgetting the name of it now?
Rift?
HP Reverb and
Oh,
the
Rift.
Oculus Rift, because everyone always says like if you want a PC VR, you're not just buying the PC VR, you're also buying the PC. So you got to have
Right.
all this shit
Exactly.
ready. You know what I'm saying? And then the Oculus Go, which was just another system that was more for entertainment value, looking at videos, movies, stuff of that sort. So it kind of decreased in popularity. Now, if we shift over to 2020, we could see a huge flip here. Now, please pardon Super Data for not knowing how to count, but Oculus Quest 2 technically is 1,098,000 units sold by the end of 2020. That's the Oculus Quest 2. Now, Oculus Quest 2 came out in 2020 predominantly, and that is a massive number of sales. And PlayStation VR only sold 125,000 in 2020. We don't even see the Oculus Go on there. Valve Index is at 61,000 and the Rift S is at 55,000. And we still don't see like Windows Mixed Reality on there. We don't see the HP Reverb. We don't see the ViMax. We don't see any of those other headsets. Like these are the top competitors. And Oculus Quest 2 blows it out of the water.
And just the change when you go, I'm going to click back again, just to go back and forth real quick. It's just 300,000 to a million in a year
And how
for
Insane.
the
it
Quest 2 in
reverses
sales.
itself, the leader. Yeah. And
And
how
I'm
the
sure
leader, the
Corona
PlayStation.
had a little bit to do with it too, with a lot of people being home and everything like that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Jumping over to the next subject, because I know we're actually going to tap into some of this PSVR talk. And here recently in the news, I would say the most recent is about Apple VR. Um, now, I've got so many feelings about this. Now, I would say that I was at one point an Apple fanboy. I kind of got pissed off with Apple because when you find out that they're slowing down their stuff, and then next year there's something twice as fast, and it only costs $1,200 again, it does get repetitively old. But this is actually a render that was actually released here by a strong source, basically giving a mock-up of what the new Apple VR is going to look like. Now, it's not estimated to actually release until next year, but this little bad boy is rumored to be at $3,000.
Just fucking, are you kidding?
who's going to buy that? Who's going to have the money
Come
for
on,
that?
man.
uh, Apple fanboys that drive a lot better cars than I do. Um,
Those Tesla wear or driving freaking
There's going to be
now,
eight people who have it when it comes out.
people.
now, look, if we get our tax credit, then I might be thinking a Tesla, and we could have a tech talk about that, about the $25,000 Tesla that they're talking about releasing. Anyway, no, but basically the structure of the Apple VR is said to be where it would have a curved display in the front.
Mm-hmm.
You would have 8K Retina vision on both lenses, so basically breaking it down to 4K on both. Huge boost. I mean, the numbers that you're looking at this right now, I believe I'm trying to remember the next one that was closest to it, but by far Apple VR, if the specs are true, would beat everybody in the market as far as visuals. So there is that.
No, did they talk about
They've
it being wireless or not?
Yeah, now of course it's going to be wireless. I mean, Apple is like the leader of battery technology. I don't they are talking about an Apple car right now, and I could see how they might put Tesla up for maybe a little bit of a competition, but when you start looking at the pricing, it gets really ridiculous. But
So, I feel like I gotta step in here real quick, just
yeah,
because, like, first of all, let me start with this rendering. Who fucking drew that?
I'd have to look
Okay.
in the find notes. I can actually find that.
That is like a piss poor mock-up of the PSVR and a very bad version of the Quest headband.
Yeah, it's like a
that
mix
is-
between
that is-
those two, exactly.
I
Well,
feel
actually, the headband, if you can see this is an Apple Watch, and the straps are actually based off of an Apple Watch strap. How it sinks back around and loops, and how this goes under and tucks away. So it's actually we're getting a good idea of what the materials are already going to be made of. Most of their phones are going to be made of aluminum, and iPads as well. I assume that this is going to be the same thing, a very lightweight metal. It's going to be very durable, but not plastic.
So the interesting thing with this Apple project is that they have been delving into the AR world as well. So Apple glasses, and other technology of the sort. So why they're going VR, I'm not entirely sure. But I also did read somewhere that the Apple VR is theoretically, based on their goal, going to have about 12 cameras.
Yes.
12
bad boy?
cameras?
12
cameras.
cameras for inside out tracking. And first of all, where are they going to put all those cameras? Are they
How's
going to
the
be cameras in
battery
the
going to
back?
handle all that?
Exactly.
You're going to have like
How's
a
it-
30-minute battery life?
So you're going to have a single, I think, LCD panel, which, by the way, the Quest 2 already has. So Apple, come on, get your shit together. Do something better. They're going to have a single LCD camera. They're going to have a screen that is supposedly going to perform at 8K resolution. Supposedly. We'll see if they can actually accomplish that. Then they have 12 cameras, which, if you're going to put all that on the HMD itself, right on the front, there's not enough space. So this thing's going to look ugly as fuck. And then if they're planning on putting cameras behind the head, which they should be for occlusion purposes and tracking purposes, this rendering doesn't look like it's going to be fitted to have cameras in the back at all. So what kind of tracking is it going to be? And that's another question. What is the tracking going to look like? Are they going to have controllers, or are they trying to push things into the next generation where it's going to be all hand tracking? Because let's be honest, $3,000, you better be doing something special.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know that when you start talking about well, first of all, let me throw this out. The $3,000 is more based on a commercial use. It's not really going to be they are not aiming for the consumer, the everyday consumer. So it's going to start off like that. It is kind of a Tesla move. Start off with an expensive roadster, buy into it, and then start selling a cheaper vehicle. So it's estimated that it will be announced probably this year or next year, released next year. It's not till 2023 that they're talking about releasing Apple VR glasses, or I'm sorry, Apple AR glasses. So this is more based on a VR side. In a year after this is released, we're looking at more of AR glasses only. So a more lightweight, easy to use HoloLens. So as far as like the mesh network that you can see right there, they've just released the Apple AirPod Max, which are only $500. And you
So
you
nonchalantly he says this.
And it won't work in a year because you'll need an update that's impossible to even
yeah, it'll
download.
be twice as good at the sound and twice as fast. But yeah, but there's an actual new mesh that they've come out with where you can replace the different colors, and when they get old, just replace the mesh. So I've got an idea of that's maybe what it's going to look like in the future, but who's to say? But who knows? Are they going to have controllers? There was no mention in the rumor talk with all the details that they had of controllers. If it doesn't have controllers and it's just hand motions, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. I mean, you've really got to have it down and a processor that can go that fast to keep up with your hand motion. So,
well, I guess you could throw them in the league of like HP Reverb or other VR headset developers that are pushing towards commercial use first. Because let's be honest, a lot of HMDs, for those who don't know, head-mounted displays, that's what HMD stands for. They have pushed commercial first because that's where the big bucks are.
Mhm.
That's going to draw in a lot of revenue, so that they can make a better unit that is more sustainable for consumer use, like general consumer use.
Mhm.
But let's just talk about like the pricing of Apple and like their, I don't know, sketchy business over the years. Like I brought up, I found this image. Now, granted, I think this is on Wikipedia, so everything on Wikipedia is questionable, but this seems legitimate. Starting in 2015 all the way to 2020, okay? So 2015, they put out, I'm talking about their phones here, the SE. So that year only had one. You go to 2016, they put out two different phones. Go to 2017, they put out three different phones. 2018, they put out, hold on, let me count here. 1, 2, 3, okay, 4 different phones. 2019, they only did one. Wow, what a regression. Then you go to 2020, they put out the 12, 12 Pro, the 12 Mini, and then the 12 Pro Max.
Mhm.
So within 1 year, they will put out a ridiculous number of new phone models, okay, at a ridiculous average cost of somewhere between $600 to $900. Okay, I looked up the average. That's what
Yeah.
they said, general range.
Sounds right.
Right, right. And then you go in their greatest competitor right now, Samsung Galaxy, they're averaging somewhere between like 250 to 300 for their base models. Obviously, they do have more expensive phones, but in terms of average cost, far lower, like a fraction of the cost. And the probably about the same quality or better. And you've said it before, Rad. You started getting pissed off because they were intentionally lowering the performance of previous models, forcing you, the
Yeah,
consumer, the
exactly.
loyal consumer, to
Yeah.
buy their new shit. Like,
Yeah.
so what does this say about them entering the VR world? Are they going to do the same thing? I mean, we already see Facebook doing it with Oculus. They put out Oculus Quest in 2019. In 2020, they put out the Oculus Quest 2. And another point of another topic that we're going to get to at some point, the Oculus Quest 3 is
Mhm.
suspected to come out too. So, like,
Yes.
what is Apple going to do here? I mean, are they going to have the same trend with their VR and their AR? I don't know.
Apple has this thing where they are not the inventors, or the creators of anything. They are the perfecters of it. So I mean, when we all had cell phones, everybody was proud and everything, but they came out with the iPhone, and it kind of changed the market, the view on everything, and all of a sudden everybody followed in suit as fast as they could to a touch screen and all that.
Mhm.
So I I don't know. I'm very interested to know how Apple will approach the market on this, because I know the first year is kind of just breaking the cherry, popping that cherry. But after that second year, really going in and seeing how are they going to try to take over the market, because they don't go into the market to make a portion of it; they go in to take over.
And I mean, making better
Um,
like 8K things is going to change it, but nobody's going to have the money to afford that, especially when VR is not popular enough right now. I think
well,
it's going to
but
be a
that's
couple
that's with
years till
any.
that is going to even happen.
But and
Yeah, I agree, but
the one company that tried to do the 8K Pimax, the was it Pimax? No, not Pimax. Was it Pimax? I'm forgetting the name now. It was the China-based VR headset. So you guys, I don't know if you guys remember,
No,
it
I've
was
never
like
seen
this
it.
massive thing. So
oh
like
yeah,
apparently it was supposed to have like 100, was it 120 plus degrees
Field of view.
of view,
Yeah.
field of view, which
hmm
is massive, by the way. And that's just the horizontal view. And then they said that it was supposed to have um, a field of view that was essentially simulating your real field of vision at 8K resolution. And it's got pretty decent reviews, but the issue with having such a large display also causes stretching of the image, and shit like that. So, like, I mean, there were issues there, and a Chinese company is already doing that. I mean, Rad, you said like Apple gets in it to be the best in it, but is it worth the 3,000 or one? Yeah, $3,000. I mean, the best
no,
right now, the best right now on market, which I do have numbers, so maybe I'll bring them up closer to the end. But the Valve Index, we thought when it came out was being $1,000 was expensive.
yeah,
Um, I
it
mean,
still is expensive.
it's still right, but now here comes Apple with a $3,000
Yeah.
unit, and we're like, oh wow, the Index, that sounds pretty cheap right now, but it's a
Right,
thousand fucking dollars. Like,
right.
come on.
Which brings me to my next subject. So moving on from Apple VR and moving over to Oculus Quest 3. There is talks about it already. In fact, specific talks from Mark Zuckerberg. Raptor, will you pull
Yeah, I'll
that
throw
up?
it up right now.
All right, so here's a quote from Mark Zuckerberg saying that we're continuing to work on new hardware which will fit the same platform. So the content that works on Quest 2 should be forward compatible so that we're going to build one larger install base around the virtual reality headsets that we have. So there's really no detail that Zuckerberg really gave other than that they're working on a newer platform. But I would say this, that comparing to the Oculus 1 to the Oculus 2, the Oculus 2 had all the way around, there was an upgrade and the price went down. And when you going back to Apple, when you've got someone who's coming into the market with $3,000 VR headset up against, say, a Quest 2 that's also been reviewed as one of the best VR headsets on the market today, and it starts at $300. I don't think Apple's going to do very well for a while in their VR headsets until they get with reality on
Yeah,
this.
for
But
sure. Plus, I'm wondering how long they're even going to be headsets anymore, like as a bulky headset, as the design. Like, I feel like eventually I've seen some things like where they might just go to glasses and be able to contain it all within something smaller, which they're always trying to make smaller, devices.
Well,
So,
there's technically technology out right now that is in a contact lens that
yeah,
really,
actually
yeah,
puts information on your retina. They're almost entering final stages. We might have another couple of years down the road, but you could technically get those. The problem with that technology, though, is it actually has damaged the vision of some of the employees who are testing it out because of malfunctioning. So, like, there's still ways to go in that, and that technology exists. People think we're going to be entering Sword Art Online here one of these days, and who knows, maybe we will. But I guess my concern with Facebook's approach, it's kind of like a game developer approach that we've seen in Activision and Ubisoft and all these other AAA titles where they put out the same title annually. Like, for instance, Ubisoft puts out an Assassin's Creed every year, and then you have Activision putting out a Call of Duty every year, or two. I think they put out two one year. Are we going to see the same thing with a VR headset? I mean, is technology really advancing that rapidly? I mean, we're talking about the specs here from the Quest 1 to the Quest 2. Really, the only thing that significantly improved was the resolution.
it didn't improve a lot, though. I've never messed with the Quest 1. Like, do you think it's more just this is about money, or they're actually trying to make it
I thought
better?
it was.
So, this is just opinion.
Yeah.
I think in part it is money. They had enormous success with the Oculus Quest, probably far beyond than what they expected, because they had the Oculus Go, didn't really work out.
Yeah.
And Oculus also had, holy shit, why am I forgetting it? What was their very first one that you had to put your phone into?
Oh,
The
yeah,
Gear
yeah, yeah.
VR.
Oh,
Gear
yeah.
VR, Oculus Gear VR, right? The Oculus Gear VR came in around a time when things weren't really that popular, but it was far better than what was out there. Then you had the Oculus Go, which was more for entertainment, and the games kind of sucked. If my brother's in here, I'm sorry, Rob, but it's true. Oculus Go sucked. And then they came out with Oculus Quest, and the only other option that you really had at the time was the Oculus Rift, which was expensive compared to everything else. You had the Windows Mixed Reality, which was also expensive and still not nearly as good as the Rift, so why go with that? So then when the Quest came out, it was the first of its kind where it was a standalone, didn't need any support from PC, and it revolutionized VR today. Now it set a new bar. The Oculus Quest 2 removed the two OLED displays that were in the original Quest and put in a single LCD panel, which, yes, more vibrant colors, and you don't have to worry about having two screens. You only have one. But let's think about the downgrade in some of those, in some of the things that came with the Quest 2. The IED, the is it IED? Why am I forgetting? The PPD, pupillary distance,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They have it now mechanical, where they're like, okay, well, here are 3 settings that we have found on average, the average player will find comfortable.
Yeah.
You're marginalizing a group that will probably get sick. Oh, okay. okay, for that marginalized group, guess what? We're going to make sure that it's optimized at 90 hertz, but not on release. A little bit later down the road. You guys can wait. It's fine.
And that's true
Right?
about the distance. Like just for an example, I was trying to get my girlfriend to try some Quest stuff, and she couldn't get the distance right. She said like whatever the three settings were, everything was constantly blurry to her. So I mean, maybe overall it works for people, but
Mhm.
just like it's bad enough where she won't play it because of it, and that
Right. It'll
sucks.
deter you. Like your goal is to try to bring people in to the VR community, right? But you're deterring it by taking away an essential mechanical thing of the
Which is weird
headset.
that they did it when the first one you could just. I don't understand that part of it.
Yeah. I don't, the slider worked perfect. Now, on top of that, you take away a comfort. Now, granted, okay, I got my headset right here, my Quest, okay? This may be silicone and rubber, okay? But this is much better than that flappy dingleberry shit that they
Hmm.
put on the Quest 2.
Yeah, they
That was
definitely
actually,
downgraded.
but they just recycled technically, because if you go back to the Oculus Go, it was essentially the same headband. So they recycled something that was old
And who do you know
technology.
that uses the original Quest 2 that has a Quest the strap? No one.
Yeah,
Everybody
like,
buys. Yeah, everyone has to buy it because it's too much weight on your head and it's not
so then,
comfortable.
so then I'm concerned about the marketing too, because they said, okay, this is the cheapest headset you can get at like what, $300 for the base model,
Hmm.
Yeah,
right?
initially, but 64 gig. I mean,
This
3
is
games and you're
That's
full.
another thing. Yeah,
right,
it's like
64 gigs, so like not the most amount of space that you could possibly get. And then they're like, you know what? If you pay us like an extra 50 or so dollars, you can get an Elite strap too.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You have an Elite strap? Why didn't that come
and
standard?
everybody
Like
buys the Elite strap, so it's
Well,
everybody
it's not
buys the
elite
Elite strap.
yet.
No, yeah, you're right, because that even that technology failed. People were getting refunds because the thing cracked
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
pretty
after so
common
much
problem. It
usage.
seems like I'm
So
reading
you tack
constantly
so
about.
you so you tack on the extra $50 for the Elite strap, and oh well, now we have a single LCD panel that is actually putting out greater resolution, which technically it does. So good on them for that.
Mhm.
Um, oh, but wait, that actually drains more battery life, so it actually doesn't last as long as the original Quest. But you know what? We can give you not just the Elite strap, but we also have another Elite strap with a battery pack in it. So there's two options for you, but that's going to be an extra $110 or so.
And I didn't even know
Yeah.
about the battery pack because I would have bought that when I bought my strap, for extra
Mm.
little bit amount of money just to save it. But I don't know if they
And
came out at the
There's a
same time or not, or if they
I think there's a
strategically did it
waiting
that
list
way.
on that too, right?
yeah, because no one wanted to keep the fabric strap. So like
No.
there's obviously a high demand for these Elite straps, and those kind of sold out. So now they were on backlog. And I'm not even done with the hardware part, okay? So they improved on the cameras, they changed the position and actually made it so that um, uh, the capture range of the cameras was actually greater than what was on the original Quest. So good on them for that. But if the controllers aren't much different, some say it's more comfortable, some don't. I don't know. It's all based on preference. But what gets me is that the original Quest came with a charging cable that is fairly long. I would say it's not the best, but then they came out with the Oculus Link cable, which was $80 before the Quest 2 came out. They came out with this, right, already over freaking priced. I bought it. I'm a loser. I get it.
It's fiber
Okay.
optic though, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
fiber optic. So it's definitely optimized to play PC, and it actually works fantastic. I actually have it rolled
But
up right here
before
on
you
my
move
desk,
on from
ready to go.
that, I bought
Nice.
one off Amazon for $30, 16 foot.
Mhm.
Never had any problems.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like originally the Quest wasn't set up, or at least the software wasn't performing to the point where aftermarket kind of
Mm.
products would work. And then they updated the software to allow for that to happen. Now, you would think, knowing this pattern, knowing what's happening in the market, you would make the Quest 2 charging cable accessible, like to PC use for the Link right off the bat, make that shit 16 foot.
Dude, it's
You know
like
what I'm
two
saying?
feet long. That's it.
It's 2 feet fucking long.
Maybe.
Like, so like they have all this information and they toss out the Quest 2 and say, here you go, this is a better version. Oh, but here's a bunch of significant downgrades just so we can get it to you cheaper.
Yeah.
And we're going to
Yep.
hold back all the upgrades that we technically already have, but you don't know we already have. And we're going to ask a bunch of money from you. So now what you thought was a $300 product is now turning into a $500 product just for the experience. So
Yep.
I go on that rant because it's very, very significant when we look from the Quest 1 and everything that they learned to how they treated the community and the product and the reception of their product moving into the Quest 2. Are they going to carry that same trend going into the Quest 3?
I personally think they will. Right now, the rumored estimated price for the Oculus 3 is the same price. $300 for the starter, and then there's going to be a $399 version, which is exactly what they have right now. I imagine that there's going to be some upgrades as far as comfortability, weight, even, but I highly doubt there's going to be an additional battery in the back. That's going to be an additional thing to buy. And then look at their competition too.
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
surprised they didn't
next
increase the
competition.
price. You would think a little bit, because then nobody's going to buy the Quest 2 at all. I mean, people are still buying older systems because they can't afford the new ones, but once the 3 comes out, I mean, Quest 2's been out for what, 2 years then? Is it even going to be 2 years if they come out next year?
Actually,
Year and a half?
so far, Facebook has been on average about a year and a half. The Oculus was out for a year and a half, and then Oculus 2, Quest 2 was announced. It's been out for
Is the
just a
Quest
little
1
bit
cheaper to
now.
buy now, though, than the
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, see,
I
that
would
even makes
imagine
sense.
so.
But here's the problem with the original Quest, though. Even if you were to get the original Quest, they no longer produce the controllers. So, for
Really?
example,
Yeah, so
so
why?
they discontinued this. I broke this.
Sounds
right?
like Apple.
Like, it accidentally fell, so I electrical taped it. Okay, it works fine, but sooner or later, it's not going to work for all of us Quest users. What are we gonna What are we
Oh,
gonna
I
do?
didn't know that.
I
Yeah,
can't
that's
find any
crazy.
more product. So I can't replace a controller, and I use this sometimes for my daily work. And if one of the people that I'm providing services to makes an error, I mean, yes, that's on me. I get it. Okay, I get it. I'm going into session knowing like that could possibly happen, but I shouldn't have to worry about replacing my product. And Facebook has said, well, you know what? We have the Quest 2 now. If your shit breaks too bad, move to the Quest 2. It's like forcing your hand. There's no options there.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned about the pattern of annual releases and disregard for the things that they've learned just so that they can suck so much money out of you.
Well, and that was my concern, because it does feel like an Apple thing there, where you've got a new Apple VR headset coming out every year and a half. I still don't have a Quest 2. I'm going to order one probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going to have mine on order, but I've actually been very hesitant about it because of my feelings toward Apple, where I'm buying new products, and by next year there's something better and nicer and faster. So, and it's the same price. So it constantly makes me want to wait on technology. So I am worried about Facebook on that. But as far as the opposite, jumping up to the next subject, PSVR 2. I'm going to tell you right now my personal belief on PSVR 2. Now, I've heard so many different rumors on PSVR 2, and Sony is tight-lipped on this. But from what I've heard from other people and what I've read, there is rumor that there's going to be an announcement within the next 6 months of the PSVR 2. But
I pray to a holy being that I don't believe in that actually happens.
But I'm not expecting that to happen. I really, they do, and I say the major failure on Sony's part, in my personal belief, you've got a huge success on the PS5, without a doubt. Everybody wants a PS5. They're hard to get a hold of now. It's a home run, without a doubt. Very good processing power. But you've got PSVR that technically has been out for 4 years now, and that is old technology in the VR world. And what they did was they made a VR headset that they thought was going to act like a console to last 6 to 7 years. That is just not the case in the VR world. It's too new, and the technology keeps changing. So as far as comparing a Facebook Oculus, say 3, next to a Sony, I actually kind of like the idea of Facebook, because I am getting the newest technology, whereas I have a PSVR, but that's the only VR I have, and I'm limited with this technology. And as Sony does in their repeated history, they'll come out with a new device, show all kinds of love to it, and then a couple of years later drop it and act like it was never created. So it makes you wonder, where Sony is going in this direction of the VR world. I think that they will come out with another one. I just don't think it's going to come out for at least another 2 to 3 years, which is going to allow a lot of time for their competitors to make up the ground. And obviously, it shows by the numbers with Oculus, and the Oculus 2 in a lot of ways is better than the PSVR, especially on the tracking, the motion controllers, without a doubt.
Oh hell yeah! I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I want to talk on this real quick as well, but I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's actually joined us. Just want to let you guys know that this is a pilot. Me, Rad, and Rap had a long conversation the other night. We were like, man, we just started talking about stuff, and man, we were like, we gotta turn this into a thing. So here we are. If you guys like it, please let us know if you like it. I see that there are some questions in here. So Daffy Duck, your question will be answered. I am going to set up something, if we continue to do this, by the way, a panel that you can actually post your questions that we can ask at the end. But because we don't have that, we'll be sure to answer it. But wait till the end, and we'll definitely get to it. Now back to the PSVR 2. I just want to talk a little bit about the PSVR first. Now, it is old technology. We can all accept that and move on from it. Like, it is what it is. But let's point out a couple of pros here that the PSVR 2 has over the existing technology. One, it has been around since 2016, which means we've had it for a long time and people are still using it. Okay, so there's something going for it there. That means there's a demand for it. The demand has grown over the years as well, and as people continue to buy consoles, people are going to buy consoles, so you might as well find a cheap piece of headgear to go along with that. Tracking is a con, we all know that, but here's where the PSVR did it right, and right from the get-go. The resolution is worse than all the other existing technology out there right now, because when it was developed in the time, obviously the technology wasn't there or thought of. But the accessibility is far better than some of the technology out there right now, aside from the Quest, which the Quest, yes, it's accessible. You can pick it up, put it on. But the problem that the Quest had was that it was capped out at 75 hertz refresh rate. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, refresh rate is imperative to playing in VR. Like, it's necessary. If you have poor refresh rate, you increase the chance of nausea, vertigo, seizures, and a bunch of other medical issues because of the brain's rendering of that information. So if you have low refresh rate and you're like very easily subject to getting motion sick, like you're already SOL. So Quest and Quest 2 capped out at 75 hertz. Quest 2 has recently put in a patch to reach 90 hertz. Let me tell you something about the PSVR. From the get, they capped at 120 hertz, minimum 90 hertz, consistent. Okay? So all the games have been optimized, consistent 90 to 120 hertz. They did it right off the get. They made it accessible right from your console, the thing that you already had in your living room or basement or man cave, wherever you decide to play. They had 100 degrees field of view. The Quest 2 still doesn't have that. They have what, 90?
Yeah.
93, 90 degrees roughly. So they still haven't even reached the field of vision that the PSVR did back in 2016. And I notice it when I play. When I switch from my PSVR to the Quest, I notice it. So they have that going for them as well. They had earbuds that came with it. So maybe not the greatest audio. I mean, it was good audio. It's still good audio. I think the Quest is doing a little bit better in that department, but still, they provided that to you. And then they have all the awesome peripherals like the aim controller and the move controllers. Now, the move controllers are an antiquitous peripheral from the PS3 era, but they were able to incorporate it into their newer technology, which I think is one, very technologically smart from a financial perspective, because that means they could put more money into creating the PSVR and optimizing it for that time, which they did. And then you have the aim controller, right? the light technology sucks. We know that the tracking sucks, but the peripherals are there. I mean, how many people have bought a Quest 2 who are moving from the PSVR to the Quest, and they're like, man, like I miss my aim controller. Like trying to aim, my hands are all over the place. The gun, I can't keep it steady.
I won't even waste my time.
And then you got to buy a Pro Tube just to stay steady. Like, I mean, you know, and I can't give it to Sony for creating the aim controller because they didn't. It was Impulse Gear, the developers of Farpoint. They actually came up with the technology, so like I got to give credit to them. But I just want to point that out, that even back in 2016, the PSVR still outperforms in some areas in terms of the specifications and some of the technology today.
Even with good hand tracking, I think it'd be weird. Think about holding a gun, even if it was perfect hand tracking. Like having the feel of the gun in your hands, I think is going to be better overall, always, no matter what.
I agree.
Which is also some of the rumors for the PSVR 2. So I mean, right now it's just rumors, and it can be a wish list if basically we could put it like that. But obviously, some of the things that that people are saying that PSVR 2 will have included is going to be obviously a better resolution. It will have eye tracking, which is also being said in the Apple VR. So eye tracking. Yeah, so basically, if you don't know what eye tracking is that you have basically your screen is being, you've got so much of a resolution on your screen, and right now everything's wanting to focus. So it takes a lot of processing power to focus everything. But if you were just focus your eyes and you had something that was staring at you back, saying you're only focused on this area, it's only going to basically render that area that you're staring at instead of processing the entire thing. So you're going to end up getting better views. You're going to get tighter pixels. So that's going to be a big plus. So eye tracking, better resolution. Obviously, it's going to have better tracking because you got to give it to PlayStation on this. I don't want to beat up Sony on their PSVR. I'm a PSVR owner myself. For my situation and why I got the PSVR, I do not have this home PC, the $3,000 PC that's VR ready. And as we said earlier, at the time when I got my everybody remembers if you got a PSVR 3-4 years ago, you're looking at, well, I've got to have a $2,000 to $3,000 PC just to run this headset that's going to cost me $500 to $1,000. I already have a PS4, so all I got to do is just buy this VR and plug it up, and I can play VR. So that's how I think that Sony was able to get so much love up front. Mm-hmm. Where I'm disappointed with them is that they did make things work for people to make it more consumer friendly as far as the price tag. Hence the motion sensor controllers that have been out since PlayStation 3. Now, good on them for making old technology that you probably or might have already in the back of your closet you weren't even touching anymore. And then they brought it back to life and said, hey, you can still use this stuff. So good on them on trying to make it more affordable for everyone. That is the rumor that Sony didn't want to release a PS5 and a PSVR 2 at the same time because it would overload the consumer, thinking that you would have to dish out $1,000 just to play new VR, which technically you would. But if you bought a $500 PS5 and then a couple of years later bought a $500 PSVR 2, it's more affordable that way. It just sucks because there's so much new technology that's coming out, and the only people who are suffering for it right now are the PSVR owners, who are watching everybody else excel and try out these new things, and Sony is rumored to say 2 more years.
And you make a good point, and they did. I don't know if they said straight out, but they are definitely alluding to the fact that they don't want to put 2 pieces of technology out. But considering their trend, they put the PSVR out that they, like you had said at initially, was that they were planning on creating technology that's going to last 7 years. Now, the only thing that you would have to do to the current gen PSVR, add new lenses, and pretty much you're good to go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you put new screens in there and like you're good to go. It is now up to par with current technology. That's all you would have to do. But they're planning on doing something different with the PSVR 2. Everybody's seen the patents, and if you haven't, just type in Sony VR patents in Google and you'll find a whole bunch. Now, patents don't mean things are actually going to happen, but with having so many versions of the controller patents, and we haven't seen the VR headset as much, so like that's still kind of an unknown thing. We have like maybe 1 or 2 patent renderings, but the controllers have had a lot of attention given to them. and they're looking at finger tracking, like the index controllers, like the grip controllers. They're looking to actually have joysticks. Holy freaking Luya. They're looking to have sensors all around the controller, and there's speculation that it's all going to be Bluetooth wireless.
Yeah.
So that means all the information from the controllers are going to be picked up by the headset that is now wirelessly communicating with your PS5. That's going to take a little while to accomplish, one, because we all know how Sony likes to build their technology. Every system is unique in its own right. You can't buy it on the market. It's specific for that system for specific reasons. They're going to do the same thing with the PSVR too. I agree, like it's going to be a while before we see it, but I think it's important that they wait, not just from a financial standpoint for the consumer. Like obviously, like they don't want the consumer spending an abhorrent amount of money on their technology. That's a huge deterrent. But at the same time, they can start building that momentum. Look at, they just had Hitman 3 come out. They just had Hello Games just had a huge patch to No Man's Sky, which the resolution has improved substantially. Village, Resident Evil 8, right, is supposed to, well, there's rumor that it's going to have VR support. And then we have a couple other games coming out. I know Ubisoft is working on some VR titles. We had Camouflage come out with Iron Man VR, which, by the way, was PSVR without Parol's Game of the Year, which is awesome. Congratulations, Camouflage. So, like, they are starting to build momentum for VR, ramping up to the PSVR 2. That's what I think.
It just needs to get here fast.
Oh,
I hope the rumors are really, really bad, and that they do announce and prepare to release something rather soon.
And before we move on from the PSVR 2 real quick, though, I wanted to point out that The Verge had reported on Jim Ryan, the CEO of Sony PlayStation, his quote. So I'm going to read it right from their article. It says, Sony PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan says virtual reality won't be a meaningful part of interactive entertainment in the near future. Ryan indicated to the Washington Post that VR still has a long way to go, although he emphasizes that Sony is not giving up on the medium. The statement suggests that an update to Sony's PlayStation VR headset is years away. Here's a quote. I think we're more than a few minutes from the future of VR, Ryan told the Post. PlayStation believes in VR. Sony believes in VR. And we definitely believe at some point in the future, VR will represent a meaningful component of interactive entertainment. Will it be this year? No. Will it be next year? No. But will it come at some stage? We believe that. He knows that the upcoming PlayStation 5, which has already been released, supports the old PlayStation VR with a special adapter, which thankfully we have it, but like, and thankfully it was free. But a lot of people interpreted that as like, okay, the PlayStation VR 2 isn't coming out and that Sony is kind of giving up on it. But they're missing the point. He's saying like, no, where VR should be, we won't be there for a while. Yeah. And Sony is all in on it, but they're not going to have their best work out till years down the road.
Yeah. Which I would say would answer a question, say like Willie Teabagger, who's in our comments right now, who was saying, should I buy an Oculus Quest 2 right now? Willie, you and I are in the same spot right now. I have a PSVR. I do not own an Oculus or Oculus Quest 2. And I want one. And I would say primarily I want one is because a lot of PSVR users, a lot of my friends, they are making that jump. They're still playing Firewall. They're still playing their PSVR games, just not as frequent. Because of the newer games that are coming out, the newer things that you can do, the better tracking. I know just playing Beat Saber on PSVR can be infuriating. And I don't even play Beat Saber anymore. I absolutely love Beat Saber. And I don't even play the game anymore because I just absolutely refuse.
It's so much better on Quest. I actually rebought it on Quest after, and I'm like, man, I've been missing out because on PlayStation the tracking is not right at all. It's like you cannot play as well at all compared to the good tracking on the Quest.
Now, getting off to a side note here, getting away from VR just for a second, there was actually a story from the creators of Cyberpunk that just came out the other day. Raptor, I think you were all over that one.
Oh, yeah.
That story up?
Basically, it was just that some hackers came by and said, we've gotten to your source code for The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk, and Gwent. their card game within Witcher, and they said like if you don't contact us within 48 hours and meet our demands, which they didn't say what they were, we're gonna release it. So I do have the quote or the actual file that they sent. So it says, "You've been epically pwned. We have dumped full copies of the source code from your server for Cyberpunk, Witcher, Gwent, and the unreleased version of Witcher 3. We also dumped all your documents relating to accounting, administration, legal, HR, investor relations, and more," with an exclamation. "Also, we encrypted all your servers, but we understand that you can most likely recover from backups. If we will not come to an agreement, then your source codes will be sold or leaked online, and your document will be sent to our contacts in gaming journalism. Your public image will go down the shitter even more, and people will see how shitty your company functions. Investors will lose trust in your company, and the stock will dive even lower. You have 48 hours to contact us."
Oh my God! If I knew we could do this, I would have contacted Titch a long time ago. $7 million.
So it turns out they said, we're not going to have any involvement with that, and then they did sell it privately. They said they're thinking like for about $7 million that they sold all that for. So we'll see how that's gonna turn out.
Like, although this isn't VR related, like, come on, Cyberpunk is already in a bad spot. What do you think selling their stuff is really going to do? I mean, so I was listening to kind of funny games. I don't know if there's any other listeners of that podcast. They're great industry veterans that are talking games, now doing it privately, their own thing. Awesome. But they were reporting on it themselves, and they had said that they made a good point that it's not necessarily about public image, it's about how it's going to harm Cyberpunk internally, because within those files comes like salaries and wages that people actually make, and if certain employees are savvy to that information, that could create an upheaval, maybe a walkout perhaps. So like if people internally see that information that is delicate information, it could capsize them from inside, and put them in a bad spot. So
and
I
it
don't
can rip
really
off their game, they were saying, though, and make it better.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, but you already have modders.
But then you'll know
that,
who it was who did it. Like, I don't
Bethesda
understand
was
how
known
that
for
would.
doing that.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work, because then you know where it would come from, some way or another.
I just
absolutely.
know.
And like Bethesda actually was banking on people fixing their games. I mean, they did that with Skyrim. They did that with Fallout. Like, they have modders out there. People already improved the games. In fact, there are people out there right now making seemingly better versions of Cyberpunk, but that doesn't mean like selling it off is just getting you money. It's not going to, it's not going to make CD Projekt Red's image any worse than it already is. The problem is what's going to happen internally. Is that going to damage CD Projekt Red internally enough that they go bankrupt, that they stop working on Cyberpunk? Like, that's what I'm more concerned about. That's the actual danger, and from my perspective.
Yeah, because they were supposed to eventually add multiplayer to all that Cyberpunk. That's what I was wondering too. Like, are they just going to end that now because it can just be changed? Or I don't know what they can actually do with that. But Titch is saying that the code is also used for vulnerabilities within the game for malware and everything. So I don't know what they can do exactly with it, but
I say shame on them. Just in my personal opinion, that a lot of these developers will create a game. They've got this deadline when they show us these previews on these games. So they've got this deadline. We're all expecting it, really anticipating. Go ahead and pre-order. And the game's not really ready. The game's just not ready. And they say, well, we got to meet our quota. So they'll release the game with all types of bugs, which is no different than what the creators of Cyberpunk did. They just got a really, really bad bug. And this one was the worst of the worst. I hate it for them. I don't know anybody who's having a more worse year than the last person I know, like Louis C.K. Like, that guy had a really bad year. But I mean, this is starting to turn out the same for them. I just wanted to quickly hit that subject because I know Raptor mentioned it. I thought it was kind of cool just to mention, but an hour flies by on this show. So I wanted to quickly wrap up with the last subject that we were going to talk about, which is just rumors about an Xbox VR. I don't know if anybody's really been talking about this. I know we got a lot of PS kids on this channel. I'm one of them. right now, but Xbox is not going to get into this, man. This is
Look,
just a horrible rumor.
Connect
This is-
Connect flopped. All right, Connect
yeah,
sucked. It didn't do what they said it was going to do. And come
right.
on, Microsoft, like just stop.
Well,
Just-
from one of the big heads themselves, Mr. Phil Spencer over at Xbox, his quote exactly was, "We're never going to close our eyes to where things are going." As said Spencer in regards to the company's position on VR, said, "I don't hope it goes away. I hope it gets bigger. I hope it's something that is just so important that it'd be a no-brainer for us to just go support it." So in just that statement alone, just that statement, they are not working on anything. Now, Microsoft has teamed up with Facebook as far as some games and maybe working with the Oculus crew on working out a deal there. But as far as making an Xbox VR headset, it's just not happening, man. It might happen maybe after the PSVR 2. We're talking 2 years from now, maybe. But I think that they're basically going to allow all the other players out there who are serious about making VR equipment and software, they're going to allow them to do that first. Carry all that heavy weight, find that niche market where everybody's happy and can afford it, and then Microsoft will make a duplicate, and they'll try to flood the market with it.
Microsoft Xbox has stated in the past that VR is not the future and they will not partake in it. And I don't see them doing that.
Wrong.
Yeah, there's
They
no way.
are
Once
wrong.
it gets a lot more popular in the coming years, they're not going to miss out on the money for that.
They're
Yeah.
already missing out. You know what? They are in such dire straits that they are pulling PlayStation titles over to the Xbox.
Yeah.
Okay, like PlayStation developed games are now going over to Xbox. That tells you what state they're in. I rest my case. Xbox sucks. Bye, Sony.
Amen to that. Wanted to quickly go over maybe some of the comments in the chat, so we might be able to answer some questions. Again, guys, this show is about hypotheticals. All of this is future technology based on rumors. A lot of this stuff we can be way off on, way off. So try to help you out as much as possible. I did see a comment about is there going to be a thank you, Blair. Is there going to be a aim controller for the PSVR 2? Honest to God, we don't know. The picture that we pulled up is a render. It's a made up drawing, so we have no idea. We have a good idea of what it's going to look like, but and I would look at your PS5 if you have one and kind of stick with that design. I imagine it's gonna match. But as far as if they're going to be a PSVR controller or aim controller, God, I hope so. I think that one of the main things that Oculus should be working on is coming out with an actual aim controller like thing instead of having two motion controllers, because a lot of people don't like the gun stock with the magnets that you can just hook on.
It's hard.
Some people love it, some people don't. But when you play with a PSVR aim controller, I mean, it'll really change you. It'll spoil you. Even the headset and the way that it sits on your forehead instead of on your face.
It's still the most comfortable headset to wear
Yeah.
today.
Yeah,
I can't
agree.
keep the Quest 2 on longer than an hour without my neck killing me, even with the new strap and everything.
Yeah, it's so front heavy, like especially if you have a bulbous nose like myself, like it's not comfortable.
No.
I don't care if you give me those fancy dancy silicone nose pieces, they don't fucking work, man. Like
I bought one
take
too,
care
it
of my
didn't work.
schnoz.
Now, as far as the other question, Willie Teabagger, Willie, he asked, should I go buy a Oculus Quest 2? He's talking about ordering one next week.
Mhm.
Willie, I'm in the same shoes as you, man. I am going to do it. My friends are making that jump. I don't know when the Oculus Quest 3 is going to come out. We're all projecting it to come out next year in October, about a year and a half after the Quest 2 was released. But that's not confirmed.
A year's still a long way away. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
So, and I mean, look, worst comes to worst is that you get your good use out of it, take really good care of it. Oculus Quest 3 comes out, put that puppy on Craigslist or wherever, get rid of it, get your money, and try to go buy you the 3. But in the meantime, new technology is out there, new games are out there, and friends are jumping left and right. So I'm going to go get it.
Yeah, and I want to bring up Daffy Duck's question from very early on in this segment. He had asked, should I just wait for the Quest 3? Again, as Rad said, we don't know when it's going to happen, but I can guarantee you if you get the Quest 2 now, even if the Quest 3 were to come out at the end of the year, I can almost promise you the change from Quest 2 to Quest 3 is not going to be significant enough to warrant you upgrading after getting the Quest 2. I still have my original Quest, and it's fine. It's fine.
As long as they
The
don't
only-
discontinue the controllers and everything else, and
Right. As
Exactly.
long as I don't break my shit, I should be okay.
Yeah. That is going to do it for tonight. Tonight, again, was just a pilot for AHC Tech Talk. Just us wanting to play around. If you guys might have some topics that you would like us to discuss or maybe look into, we're more than open to doing that. If you did miss any part of this show, you can always go back to Twitch or go to YouTube, where these videos will be uploaded along with all of our other shows. Also, please don't forget, tomorrow night we are going to be starting up with our finals. That is finally happening for the Firewall tournament.
Mhm.
Do you
It's gonna be a
guys have
good one.
anything that you guys want to say before we take off?
nothing else. I think it's really cool to have this little talk show just to give people some updates on some other things besides Firewall for a change. So we're gonna hopefully
Yeah.
keep coming back and doing this, and hopefully you guys will come back too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I want to continue it. God, we can talk for hours. You even said an hour's
Yeah,
just
we have to
flies-
kind of stop
flies by, man.
ourselves.
Like that.
So yeah, I would like to do this again. We're probably gonna plan for it. Okay, like even if you guys want it or not, I think we're gonna plan for it. We're gonna give it a go. We're gonna give it a good run, see if it does well. I personally like it. I talk about this stuff all the time, and now with friends here, I have a platform to do it. It's exciting. And as for Firewall 2, don't expect it. It was a Sony product. FCE kind of ditched it, went for Solaris. So don't expect it.
It's sad. We can look. Hey, even the FCE people, they might watch this show. I know that they still play Firewall. There is ways that we can reach out as a community and demand it, basically, for we want our Firewall, man. This is the bee's knees. It is what it is. With that said, want to thank everyone who's out in the audience right now who was able to tune in and with your comments. You guys are great. Please give us some feedback. Also, a little quick promo. Don't forget about your Raise energy drink. If you click on the link below, they will give you 15% off. This is only in the U.S. Raise energy drink. It gives me big balls. I love you guys. And until the next one, peace.
See ya.
Later.